The expert said many voters become much less enthusiastic about returning to Brussels when they are told what would be involved. A top academic has laid bare the reality of the UK rejoining the EU after Remainers took to the streets for an anti-Brexit protest yesterday. Thousands of people took part in the National Rejoin March in London demanding Britain returns to the bloc. But Professor Matthew Goodwin said it would not be at all easy for the UK to rejoin the EU. The best-selling author listed a series of obstacles including the possibility of having to ditch the pound for the euro, losing previous opt-outs in areas such as Schengen, and having to hand over more money to the club. Professor Goodwin, who writes about Brexit on his Substack blog, told The Express, "It is very unlikely the EU would give us any of the previous opt-outs that we had as part of our negotiated membership. It is likely we would have to join the euro single currency and or certainly pay more into the EU budget than we did previously. We would also have to, in theory, sign up to the EU's principle of ever closer union. And we would also have to join the EU organization as it struggles to contain a number of growing crises, from the refugee crisis to growing divergence between economically more prosperous northern states and more impoverished southern states. We would also have to sign up to the EU institutions which in the eyes of many people are insufficiently democratic and transparent." Professor Goodwin added, "I've also polled voters on this question and when you actually point out the reality of rejoining and what would be entailed, they become much less supportive of rejoining. So it's worth keeping in mind that once voters have become aware of the reality and all the things that will be involved, they become much less enthusiastic." On the question of Brexit benefits, the academic said there had been a number of wins. He said, "Those variously range from returning to become a self-governing independent nation-state, to having much more control over things like fisheries, a more controlled immigration policy, even if the current version is very unpopular." But he added that for many voters Brexit was always a long-term repositioning exercise, rather than a short-term economic project. Professor Goodwin said, "And that's what many people I think within the Rejoin movement have failed to appreciate.